How strong would the F-35 be if it got added right now? Would it be completely OP, or it would be, what would it be? How can we actually consider the F-35 if it gets added this year or close to what we have right now in performance, right? The thing about the F-35 that you have to think about, and I will probably do a video just talking about this, but the F-35, guys, is the aircraft that everybody will have in the future in the game, right? Literally every single nation in the game can have an F-35 apart from the Russians, right? And the Japanese and the Chinese, and even the Chinese. I mean, sub trees and stuff, and how it works. We might even see it in the future, right? So everybody can have these aircraft. So it's important to us to see how far from them we are, because like I said, it's a little bit more complicated. And why is that? Because if they add the F-22, guys, only one nation will get it. If they add the F-35, everybody will get it. So the F-35 actually makes a lot more sense when the 5th generation comes to be added. Although I still believe that the F-22 will be the first, 5th generation jet that we will get in the game. If we don't get the F-35 soon afterwards, we will have kind of a power creep. You already talked about that on the terms on the F-22 video, right? So what about the F-35? Well, the F-35, guys, it's an aircraft that has a lot of controversy behind it, right? Because it's obviously 100% of the stuff about this aircraft is classified, or almost everything, right? The majority of the numbers are changed, the majority of stuff is just different, right? But we can have an idea on looking what the opinion on pilots, on everything is about the aircraft, right? So the idea is that the aircraft is a lot lighter than the F-22, right? It's a lot lighter, like it's 13,000 kilograms, around that, when empty, compared to the almost 20 tons that the F-22 has. So it's a lot lighter, but although it has a lighter perspective, the thing is, the aircraft still has some problems in a dogfight, but we're gonna get to that and how that would affect the game, right? The engine produces around 190 kilonewtons, which is pretty powerful. So the thing about this aircraft is that it doesn't have a lot of top speed, but at the same time, it accelerates very well, and it's not that heavy, and it has a lot of power. So it's an aircraft that, although it looks a little bit chunky, if you will, it's an aircraft that it's light, accelerates well, and with that it can have a pretty good energy recovery and even a very good energy retention. The problem in the performance side of things is that, according to most sources, it's complicated to compare to, but if you compare to an F-16, for example, in a dogfight, the F-16 would win against the F-35 in the lower, very, very low airspeeds. In the higher airspeeds, the F-35 will beat the F-16. And it all comes down basically on the pilots. Which of these pilots can use these advantages and disadvantages against each other, in a better way. So the F-35, it's, although very light and very nimble, it's an aircraft that has kind of a line of thinking that it is a little bit chunkier, a little bit heavier feeling than an F-16, for example, in the lower airspeeds. But the thing is, would it actually matter? Well, that's the thing, right? If you compare any 5th generation to a 4th generation, you will see that there is one major advantage that this aircraft will have, which is the combination of a very modern radar like AESA and PESA radars together with the stealth. Why is that important? Because if you compare to any type of 4th generation aircraft, even if it's a small one like an F-16, by the time the F-16 is detecting the F-35, which it will detect, these aircraft are not 100% invisible, right? But it will make the RCS so little that it will take a lot more time during combat, going straight to each other, for the 4th generation to detect the 5th generation, in this case the F-35, which means that normally the F-35 can have an initial idea, a better situational awareness on where the target is, and together with that, I mean, the eye as a radar, and instantaneous redetection with TWS, and being able to fire first, basically, right? So you have a lot of performance, although, like I said, it doesn't have the most amount of max speed over here with the F-35, around Mach 1.6 or something like that. We don't know how public these numbers are. At the same time, he will have plenty of power to get to altitude and be able to put the M120s in the perfect condition for a perfect shot, shooting first, because you're gonna detect the 4th generations first. Then the 4th generations are going to detect you by a lot. Which means that by the time maybe they are detecting, and I'm talking about the most powerful radars you will see out there, like advanced flankers and stuff like that, against an F-35, I mean, right? Or IASA radars or PESA radars, stuff like that, you will detect something like the F-35 at 40 plus kilometers only, right? So 40, 50 kilometers, something like that, max. And I'm kind of guessing over here even, right? So it means what? It means that the aircraft itself will be able, the F-35 will be able to shoot first, and by the time you're cranking and stuff and you're like getting closer to the target with that, then he would be able to detect you, fire at you maybe, but then he would need to go in a defensive position unless he got, you know, he would get killed. So if you assume, like I did with the F-22, that the stealth is at the same as the F-117, for example, just to have an idea, an Su-27, for example, would only be able to detect you at around 40 kilometers. And with that, it would mean that, I mean, 40 kilometers, you can already shoot at M120. And by the time you are getting to the one, like the 40 kilometers, the F-35 already know that you're there from the get-go, from 100 kilometers or more, right? The maps are not that big, but you get the idea, right? So it means that the F-35, guys, that it doesn't really need to be good in a dogfight, even if it is a good aircraft in a dogfight, but it doesn't need to be against a 4th generation. Against other 5th generations, well, then it doesn't matter too much because they're all 5th generations, right? They will all be like in the same kind of realms of usage of radar, stealth and stuff. But against the 4th generation, this is where it will break the game a little bit. And that's why I believe that the F-35, we're just not ready for it. Yes, we're getting closer. It's a step up, but not a jump, you know, into the future, but it is a step up that we are not ready yet. It's like trying to add the Autofighter in 2023. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. It would be too strong. We didn't even have the A120s, right? So it would be just game breaking. It's kind of the same of adding the F-35 right now. We need to wait for everybody to have 4.5 generations, and in my opinion, get a one patch only and add 5th generations for everybody in the game at once. You know, that would be the most balanced way of countering, and of course having a very high BR. I don't know about 14.0 or 14.3, 14.7. It needs to be higher than that. Maybe 15.0, I don't know, but it needs to be a very high BR. These aircraft are going to be very high BR. The reality is that they will probably not be that high of BR. I even answered the comment yesterday about that, right? Because we can, I mean, kind of wish that these aircraft will be 15.0 or something like that, but at the end of the day, guys, they will be 14.3, they will be 14.7 max. So yeah, ready for it, and I think we are very close to it. But yeah, basically this is it. This is what I think what the F-35 will look like in the game a little bit. Once we get closer to that, I will be doing another video talking about what you should expect from the aircraft itself, talking about the multiple iterations of the aircraft and little details and stuff. But yeah, I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you think that we are close to the F-35 being added to the game. And see ya. Subscribe. Bye.